Why most people's health efforts fall apart in Q4 and how to not be most people. In today's training, I want to walk you through the three really important key anchors that we use with our clients in order to make sure that no matter how busy they get throughout Q4, they've got a couple of key anchors in place. I'm talking the social events, I'm talking the work deadlines, I'm talking kids coming away from exams or coming back home for the holidays, getting to a point where routines continue to get more and more compressed, and they start happening by the end of October, certainly by middle of November. In fact, most recent studies now agree that about 60 to 70% of most weight gained throughout the year is happening through this part of the year. And it's really coming down to a lack of those habits. And I think seeing the difference between if your health efforts simply rely on perfect conditions, right? You've got all the time, you've got nothing that gets disrupted in your schedule. It's only going to work on about 3 weeks of the year. Being able to have these backup options when you need to travel, when work gets a bit crazy, when kids get sick, etc., is the only way that you're going to stay on track long term. And from what I've seen from strong performers that get so much done in a day, these backups are the lifesaver, right? When we look at fundamentally strong and high performers, it's not about putting in a ton of effort once. It's about being able to show up again tomorrow and be able to put in the effort on a regular basis. And I think this is a fundamental shift that most people need to make when they're looking at health long term, not just for a 6-week stint, is that it's not about just putting in a big effort once, right? You want to be able to look at all of these other components holistically that we need to look at from health in order to improve digestion, sleep quality, so that our mind is sharp and our body is ready to rock again, all right? So the first one I want to take you through is really a fixed rhythm. What are those 2 or 3 things in your day that as many days in a row as possible, you're trying to maintain, right? It might be going for a walk every day. It might be hitting a specific protein target. For me, it certainly is, and hitting maybe a minimum threshold for sleep. So really, those are kind of a big 3 that I'm trying to address, right? Being able to fit in a walk or at least a 6,000 step count, right? It might sound like a lot for some and not much for others, but a general benchmark for your walking. The second one for me is I'm trying to hit at least 200 grams of protein a day. Personally, when I'm in a normal routine, I find that really easy to hit. If I'm out and about, things like lunches and things can be really challenging to hit just a basic 40 or 50 grams of protein. But that for me is a fundamental benchmark in being able to have more stable energy throughout the day and being in a spot that I'm not having these cravings and big dips in energy coming through. And then the last one, sleep. I'm protecting my routine where possible. I'm actually saying no to certain events that go well into, midnight, or even particular trips where I'm getting a lot of changes in time zone, a lot of disruption in my general routine. I'm pre-protective with that time. Those are my 3: walking, sleep, and protein, but being able to address what are the key ones that come through for you. I've heard from a couple clients the 3 W's, walk, weights, and water, right? That's another great one. Being able to get to just what are those key things in your routine that you protect when everything else is kind of a bit chaos. Being able to have those as your clear focus, you want to keep it kind of to 3 or less, I think is a really, really important part that I've seen in all our successful clients that live busy lives. The second one that we want to dive into is having a half-assed backup plan, right? When it's one of those days where your time that you'd usually have an hour to work out has now become half an hour, what are you going to do instead? Are you just going to find a way to throw it in for the day or carry on working, or are you going to find a way to fit you back in? Said another way, are you going to find a solution or are you going to find an excuse? And I can tell you right now, I have got so many clients that impress me on a regular basis that no matter how crazy their day is, they still get it done. So an example of this could be, I can't get to the gym for a full workout, but I've got a small mobility routine that I'll do from home. I'm not burning fat in that space all that much, but I'm certainly looking after my joints, getting a bit more mobility, a little bit more blood flow. That's always going to be beneficial to my overall metabolic space and just recovery and energy for tomorrow, right? Being able to find something as simple as, and I've seen some example is, I can't get my full workout in. Today was a leg day. So in between each meeting that I had throughout the day, I did 20 squats, right? I very much feel my legs now, right? Getting to that sort of thing where you give yourself the attitude of, things have changed my day, but it's not going to get in the way of me looking after myself. I'm fixed on the goal. I'm flexible on the approach. Being able to anchor those small things in and realize that all of us could do it, but we just see the easy way out. We say, well, that got tough. I'm not going to have enough character here to make a decision, right? Really lean into that and realize that You're just being lazy. Being able to get to a spot that you have a smaller or shorter version of what you usually do that could still absolutely happen will be very helpful. And if you're in the camp where sleep is starting to get restricted or it's been a crazy day, I'm not telling you to go for a run. I'm saying do something to look after you. This is a nurturing discussion, not a beating you up discussion, even though the language I used was fairly directed. Being able to fit you in through the form of some yoga, some mobility, some stretching, some breathing, all things that are nurturing and looking after you, not needing to be a flat out workout, which arguably gives you less sleep, less energy, and you still feel knackered tomorrow, right? Getting to that place that you've got some anchors in place. Where's your half-assed version as your backup? So no matter what, you're protecting momentum, regardless of the activity you bring in. The third one here is a reset ritual, and this might sound similar, but this is more a case of when you have had a particular trip or a particular week that's just been nuts and things have slipped more than you would like, you're feeling a bit groggy. What are you doing to get back on track after that slip within 24 hours? Because the time it takes between someone coming back from, say, a holiday to getting back on track is directly proportionate to how successful they have been over the year because they have that routine. I'll give you an example. I've been in Auckland for 2 days this week, pretty full on, lots of travel, lots of speaking. As soon as I got back, it was straight into basically dinner and then bed, so just getting to bed as early as I could. The following morning, it was get up, get in some electrolytes, coffee, straight off for a workout, came back, had breakfast, took that small time to get a 10-minute walk in to get a little bit of sun on my face, and then I was into my day. So just a couple of nuances, what's different than usual, a little bit more. I usually have a couple meetings in my morning before I then go outside, but I made sure that was much earlier in the day. I also made sure the addition of the electrolytes and the very hard anchor on sleep, because certainly after a trip, I know a lot of people that have a weird tendency, me included, where you're so tired that you continue to scroll or waste time and then you eat into that night's sleep to make tomorrow worse as well, right? Certainly from midweek trips, that can really derail your energy and your focus quite considerably, right? So having that reset routine after a big trip or a holiday or something like that you're back into it the following morning and you really nail that first 24 hours, being able to be just more intentional, knowing that requires a little bit more effort. I visualize getting that rocket off the ground again. 90% of that fuel is used within that first launch. And I think it's the same post-holiday. Really put the effort in, lock and load, and you'll notice that ripple effect continues. So look, here's the kicker. The biggest one that I'm trying to highlight here is that your decision to either stay on track when things are busy or to fall apart is still your decision. Saying that life is too busy and I can't is simply a cop-out. It is an excuse. So that's on one side. And then the second part is I just need to be more disciplined is both untrue and unhelpful. Many of you are incredibly disciplined and amazing at what you do. You're hardworking, you're successful in other areas, you are providing for many people around you, not just at home, but typically at work. Yet the routines that we place in our day are so unachievable because it's either perfect or nothing. It's the all or nothing attitude. We start to really get in the way of our ability to maintain something long term. And our big thing is trying to make sure that you live a long and strong, healthy life well into your 80s. And that's going to come from habits that aren't just short bursts of effort, but are rather seasons of focus and fitting you back in and really allowing that ripple effect to show through how you show up for family, how you show up for work, and all these other areas that come through. So I'm going to leave you with one final question here, which is what's one little anchor from today that you need to be able to place into your day or your week before the chaos of the next few months comes in? Is it the fixed rhythm that's got a bit out of whack, being able to bring in some primary focuses like the protein, the steps, the sleep quality, the walking with similar steps? Is it the half-assed backup? If I miss that workout, don't just make it a cop-out and say tomorrow missed. Try bring in something that you will do instead as a simple routine to feel a little bit better and tick that box of I've looked after myself today. And then the last one is that 24-hour ritual. What are the key things that make you get back on track right after the routine? It might be very similar to the daily rhythm, but I'd highlight that there's a couple of things, certainly with things like travel, where the addition of the electrolytes, the extra boost on hydration, the extra emphasis on getting more time in the sunlight to really reset that circadian rhythm, certainly when time zones have come in, all of these make a significant impact to you really getting back on track quickly, instilling habits that feel rewarding on a daily basis, not just because of the outcome, and an ability to be both kinder to yourself in regards to the expectation, while also raising the bar in a way of I'm not copping out today because I've still got this option that is absolutely achievable. It can be done in 10 minutes. Don't step away from this, right? We're protecting momentum above everything else. And if you want to really get away from a typical disruption of this all or nothing, it starts with being able to find that nuance between a little bit more compassion while also having a raised bar for you in regards to the consistency of steps taken, not the intensity of steps taken. So I hope that's helpful. Hope that's a real takeaway of something to think about for the next few weeks and taking it through the next few months. And just finish with that question. What's one thing I could anchor over the next few months that would make everything else a little bit easier, a little bit more focused?